You could be forgiven for thinking that October is a dead time in the gardening calendar. It's really not. It's a really busy month. It's a month when I love putting a new jumper on. Yeah, I've got a new jumper. And I'm showing it off in this video. But more importantly, I'm going to be talking to you about jobs that you can do now, in October, in the garden, in your allotment, in your herb garden. Let's get right into it because I love October in the garden. I think you're going to love it too. A little bit of a disclaimer. All the advice that I'm going to give you in this video is from a UK-centric point of view, or countries with similar climates. Just take that into consideration when you're listening to me, but wherever you're listening in the world, I really hope that this inspires you to get outside, to start growing food, because you're going to love doing so. Come on, let's get into the video. Before I get into the video, I teased you there, didn't I? Please just hit the like button, subscribe, drop me a comment. It helps us to get the word out about what we're doing here. I'm really grateful if you can do so. So now let's get right back into the video. The first job I want to talk to you about in the October garden is maintaining soil health. That sounds really geeky, doesn't it? But I promise you, this is really, really easy to do and really, really useful. For example, in my front garden food growing project, if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out some of the short videos that we've posted. But in my front garden food growing project, I've created raised beds and I've used the hugelkultur method. I'm not sure if that translates well into my Birmingham accent. But we've used the hugelkultur method to fill the beds. Now, I've done this to save money. The hugelkultur method involves putting organic material at the base of the raised bed and then gradually stacking it higher and higher with smaller organic material as you get higher, and it all breaks down and feeds the bed with only a small layer of topsoil, so it cuts down on the costs, but it also promotes soil health. Now, as part of this process, it's effectively all rotting away underneath the surface. At this time of year, as you start to empty out the raised beds, you might find that the level of soil has dropped slightly as the organic material has started to decompose, rot away, and nature has done its magic. All the earthworms have gone to work, and you've got some really, really healthy soil, but the level of the soil might have dropped down a little bit. This will be the perfect time of year to actually top up the raised bed that you filled using this method. Even if you haven't used the hugelkultur method, it would be a really good idea to actually start to look at the soil health and start to top up the bed with some fresh, healthy compost or organic material that the earthworms are going to pull down into the raised bed, and it's going to boost your raised bed. Now, it's really important to understand what's going on here. The soil that you are growing in is absolutely key to your success. The soil that you're growing in, that's the fuel that you're going to be using to grow your food. And I'm going to share with you some methods that you can use at this time of year to really boost the soil health. So I just casually mentioned you can spread some compost on the top of the raised bed. Well, you can go to the shop, you can buy some multi-purpose compost. That's one option, but then that is going to cost you money. The second option is to make your own compost, and this is a lot of fun. I would strongly suggest that you already have a compost bin set up. If you don't, I'll make a video in a few weeks showing you how you can do that. But if you've got a compost bin that's actively breaking down material throughout the season, at this time of year you should have some material that you can spread. So at this time of year you'll find me topping up the raised beds just by sprinkling some compost on the top of the raised beds and spreading the soil, promoting that soil health. Now is a great time of year to do that. This seems like a really good point to talk about another job that you can do at this time of year. And that is, as the leaves start to fall from the trees, you can gather those fallen leaves together. It doesn't have to be a sad thing as the leaves lose their trees. It doesn't have to be a sad thing as the leaves start to fall. You can gather the leaves together. Any leaves that have fallen on paths or driveways that might pose a bit of a slip hazard. I'm one that always falls over on leaves. You can gather them together, put them somewhere in a sort of secure place and allow them to decompose and rot down, because rotted leaves actually make a fantastic ingredient to spread over the soil surface. So this time next year, you could actually be using those same leaves to spread across your raised beds and continue the cycle of growth. Guys, seriously, how cool is that? That the fallen leaves are going to be powering the growth for next year. I absolutely love that. So you should definitely gather the fallen leaves together. You could even put them in an old black bin bag, put some holes in it for the air, leave it in a place that it's not going to bother you. And in a year's time, you could look back on this video and you'll be spreading your own free soil boosting material all over the surface of your growing space. How cool is that? October isn't just about maintaining soil health. You can actually plant things in October. Over the last few weeks on this channel, I've talked to you about the various seeds that I've sown, seeds that you can sow really, really late in September and early October. If you haven't watched those videos, I'm going to put the links in the description, and please go back and watch them, because hopefully it inspires you to grow some really cool stuff. I've actually sown things that I'm going to love eating during the colder months of the year. Radish, pak choy, rocket, spring onions, mustard red giant, some winter lettuces as well. We've been really busy over the last few weeks in these videos, and I've loved sharing that with you. And now it's time to actually plant them out. Now, I'm actually planting these seedlings after I've kept them, and I've grown them on a little bit inside the polytunnel just to give myself a bit of a head start. I've also grown some on the windowsill of my house, and I'm going to be planting those into the front garden today as well. Come on, let's head outside. Let's go and plant.
A few moments later.
So in a slight change of plan, I've gone and really hurt my finger. So Kate's going to be planting everything.
Yay!
Now you can see that I'm actually planting these seedlings into the raised beds that I described to you earlier that have been filled with the hugelkultur method. I love saying that word. I'm planting them out, giving them a bit of space. The beds are fairly free draining and they get a little bit of sun in the morning. This isn't overly sunny, but they're going to absolutely love life over the next few months here. The spacings for each variety are slightly different, and I can list those separately in the description if you guys would find that helpful. But if you've got any questions specifically about the planting process, please just send me a message and I'll be delighted to help you. I love planting things out in autumn. I find it very therapeutic. It's a time to reflect. So another job for early October is planting out the September seed sowings if the weather in your local area allows you to do so. October tends to be a really good growing month here in the UK, and even outside these varieties are going to grow really well, so I want to get them out as soon as possible, get them growing, get them established, because I want to get them as advanced as possible before the cold weather kicks in. I'm also going to be doing an experiment by adding a cover, a mini polytunnel like the one I'm talking to you in now, to one of my raised beds, just as an experiment, to see how much it actually boosts the growth of my autumn food production. I'm going to be posting that video over the next couple of weeks, and I think you're going to really enjoy seeing this. We'll see how it goes. I'm an enthusiast when it comes to DIY. Definitely not an expert. The list of varieties that I've described to you over the last few weeks that you can grow during the autumn season, it's not the entire limit of what you can grow. There's so many different varieties that I would definitely suggest that you have a go at growing, depending on what you like, and that's the key. You should always grow what you enjoy. You could, for example, sow cauliflower, but I've got a terrible confession for you. I don't really like cauliflower. That seems terrible to admit that you don't like a vegetable, but I really don't, and therefore there's no point me growing it. There's so many other things that you can grow. The seeds that I've shown you on this channel growing over the last few weeks, they're all varieties that I'm going to absolutely love. So definitely grow what you're going to use. It's worth saying as well that you could also sow what's called cover crop or green manure. And these are crops that you'd plant now directly into the soil, and they're designed to cover the surface of the soil. So it reduces damage from heavy rain or water evaporation, but they also give something back to the soil. Isn't that cool? I'm actually not planting any cover crops this year, simply because I don't have the space. I'm growing in a very small growing area myself, so I'm not going to be planting any cover crops, but you can definitely do this, and it's really good fun. I mentioned about adding the hoop house to one of my raised beds. Bit of DIY that you can do at this time of year, but it's worth pointing out that early October is a fantastic time for any hard landscaping or maintenance jobs. This is a lesson that I've learned while running Urban Herbs over the last 10 years, that it's much better to get these jobs done in early autumn, in early October, when the ground is still workable, when it's a bit nicer working outside. So this is the time when you can get outside and fix those fence panels that might have fallen down, or build some new raised beds. So I'm actually going to be creating a new kitchen garden or herb growing space at my own house where I live, and I'm going to be showing that process to you guys both on my personal Instagram account and on this YouTube channel. So if you've got any questions about setting up a brand new herb garden, kitchen garden, vegetable growing space, please just let me know, because I'm going to have so much fun exploring this and taking you through that process with me. I'm also going to be getting outside this week and cleaning these polytunnels. Myself and my wife are going to start with this tunnel probably, and we're going to clean the surface of the polytunnels to make sure that as much light is getting through these polytunnels as possible during the winter months. This is a really, really important job that you all need to do if you've got a greenhouse, because over the coming months, light is going to be very much at a premium, and we want to make sure that as much light is getting through those polytunnels as possible. So we're definitely going to be cleaning those this week, and I'm sure hilarity will ensue. I really hope that you've enjoyed that little crash course for jobs that you can do in early October. October is a fantastic month. It's not a dead month at all. It's a time in which the pace of gardening, the pace of growing does slow down a little bit, but there's so much that you can do, and I hope that this video has inspired you to get outside, do a few bits and pieces, maybe plant a few edibles for autumn as well. Either way, I promise, getting outside is going to make you feel amazing. I'm going to go and do some work now, finish cleaning the rest of these polytunnels. Thank you so much for your time watching, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Until next time, see you later.